Hi and welcome to episode 30 of the This is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of This is Reportage and I'm a wedding photographer too. So great to have the lovely Sam Docker on the podcast today. Sam is a Rangefinder 30 rising star, winner of numerous TiR Awards, globe-trotting wedding photographer and also just an all-round top guy. A real pleasure to talk to him. Sam shares so much with us today, including his thoughts on destination weddings, getting and shooting them, pricing and more, his recent experience doing an Ironman and why, Instagram tips, the story behind one of his Reportage Awards, an embarrassing moment of his photography career, risk and trusting yourself and much more. Just before we get to Sam, I just wanted to let you know about a recent huge addition to This is Reportage membership, totally exclusive video content. At no extra cost to our membership fee, you can now learn from some of the best documentary wedding photographers in the world, such as Tyler Worken, Pedro Villela, David Scholes, Sana de Block and more, with exclusive videos. There's already over 8 hours worth of content and more videos will be added regularly. Check them out at thisisreportage.com. Right, over to Sam. Hey Sam, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Alan. Very well. How are you?
I am, fine, all fine.
Good.
Yeah,
How's life down in Cornwall at the moment?
It is not. It's sunny, so which is rare, which is all good. How about in like deepest, darkest Derbyshire?
Well, I'm confined to the office and we haven't got the doors open yet, so I can't tell you what it's like. But it's been all right recently. It's been nice. It's definitely helped that the weather's been, decent during lockdown. Can you imagine what it had been like if it had been?
That's true.
Torrential.
Yeah,
we wouldn't have been having much fun, would we? But
have you been getting out and exercising and things?
Done a few bits. Yeah, been on the bike and just doing a few little runs, just trying to keep things ticking over, and a daily walk with the kids as well, which is it's been quite a nice thing actually. There's definitely been some positives from it all, haven't there? Like
it's
things
true.
Things that we've been doing that you wouldn't normally just do. We've bought a jigsaw, mate. I mean,
nice. What are you making?
It's a New York skyline. Alan.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Cool. thousand piece jigsaw.
So it's not a jigsaw that you use to create wood and, I'm so unpractical. Aren't they called a jigsaw as well? Those kind of blade things.
We're not doing DIY crafting, Alan. We're talking about just the basic form of a jigsaw puzzle.
Okay, no, that's funny. Yeah, we did a Super Mario one as well, actually, 500 piece, because my son is obsessed with Mario. But my wife ended up doing virtually all the jigsaw.
Yeah, brilliant.
But you talking about kids going for a walk though, don't yours complain? Whenever we say to the kids, let's go out for a walk, they're always like, oh, really?
They do. Yeah, they tend to just get out and just start fighting as well, I think. Well, no, but do you know what's been really good? Actually, just like trying to find things for them to do, like getting a scavenger hunt printout. That's been a big thing. That's cool. Then they're like, can we do a scavenger hunt? I'm like, yeah, of course we can, yeah. It's been great.
That's a good parenting tip, man.
Yeah. Print out a scavenger hunt off Pinterest and you're away. That's an hour filled, isn't it?
And you mentioned that you've gone out for exercise, because didn't you recently do an Ironman? Didn't you?
Yeah.
Why on the first question?
Honestly, Daddy,
why on earth, man?
I think
what does that entail again for people who don't know? Like, I don't really exactly know.
So it's basically a long form of a triathlon. So it's a 2.5 mile swim,
right?
Onto a 112 mile bike ride, onto a marathon.
All in one day, like literally straight after each other.
Yeah, back to back. Yeah, so like a triathlon, but at that distance. And do you know, really weirdly, I'd never heard of it until I went to meet a couple whose wedding I was shooting down in London, and I just hung out. They had like the registry office wedding and stuff, and I went down and we had a few drinks afterwards, and they told me they'd done an Ironman in Sydney, and I was
both of them, the couple,
both of them as a couple had done it, and I kind of said to them, "Oh, what is that?" And asked the same sort of question. I was like, "No way, that's mental." Like, I was just running 5Ks at the time. I was dead chuffed that I could just go out and run a decent 5K.
Yeah.
And when they told me that, it made me start to think, like, God, that's it. Like, how do people get to that? And then just through I suppose small steps and just like 3 or 4 years of looking after myself, running a little bit further each time, and getting a PT and just trying to like look after myself, I kind of got to a point where I was like, do you know what? I kind of like the idea of a bit of a challenge here and just doing something that's a little bit.
That's more than a bit of a challenge.
That's beyond what I'm capable of, and I think that's probably the life lesson, isn't it? Is about trying to pick a goal that is beyond your ability.
Yeah.
And the impact that has. Like I've been running recently, and I find myself running, and I'm like, how on earth have I run an Ironman? Like, how have I done that? I can't even go and do 10K at the minute. But because it was there and because it was over me, and it was because I knew that it was coming up, that year building up to it, I was like, right, I'm on it now. I'm on it.
Man, it's mental. That's so awesome that you did that. Was it in France? Was it?
Yeah, it was a Vichy in France. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was an amazing weekend. Just a great experience. Like even if people are just thinking, oh, do you know what? I should just go and sign up for a 10K. Like the experience of doing something and turning up on the start line and thinking, God, I've never done this before is a real buzz.
That's cool, man. How long did it take you to do it then? In the end?
13 hours 17.
Oh man, I could not imagine.
And it was the first. I've never done a triathlon before, so I just went straight in at the deep end. And I think that by nature, I'm a bit like that. I just tend to. I don't do things by heart. If I'm going to do something, I just go all out. And I literally did my first outdoor swim on the Tuesday before I went out to France.
Really?
So I'd been swimming. I felt okay swimming, but I'd never been in a lake. So,
is it quite different? Because I've never done that.
Yeah, it's really different. It really takes the biggest thing is it takes your breath away a lot more than in a pool. So you straight away you go in, you've got like a bit of a cold water shock, and you just start you're struggling for breath straight away. So you breathe.
Sounds really fun, man. It sounds so much fun.
Oh mate, I loved it. Honestly, other than having kids and getting married, I'd say it's probably one of the best weekends of my life. It was brilliant.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it again then?
I would like to say that I will do another one. Yeah, I can definitely see why people get the bug, but it's just that. It probably is the time and just time commitment to it is a big thing. And I think at the moment there's probably other things going on that I probably need to focus on. But generally, it's definitely something I would like to say. Maybe when the kids are a little bit older and I've got a little bit more time back, that I will sign up. Man. Yeah, it was great.
And it's cool. You did it in France, and you do loads of destination weddings. You weren't shooting a wedding the next day after the Ironman, were you?
I wasn't. No.
That would have been a bit hardcore, but you do loads of destinations. So there might be people listening here who really want to do more of those. Can you tell us how you got your first one and how you get so many now? What is it? What is the trick?
I don't know. I mean, firstly, I think people kind of they want to shoot destination weddings, and I understand why they do. But actually, they're not as, I don't know what's the word. I think people should be careful what they wish for in a way. I'm not saying people shouldn't want to shoot destination weddings. Like they are. Like I love going to them. There's something about the light in Italy and France that just trumps England and Derby. And there's a real buzz when you're away and like people are in a very different mood. But there is a big trade-off to it, and the trade-off is that you're away for 3 or 4 days. And you all know as well as I do that when you've got kids and a wife, being away from home for 3 or 4 days at a time, takes its toll eventually, and it is really hard. People think, oh, look at what they're doing on Instagram, look at where they're going to, look at what they're traveling on and where they're staying and stuff. And actually, I'm at a pretty basic Airbnb eating a bowl of pasta, and just going to, and it's not as glamorous as people might think it is.
Totally get that. I find them more stressful as well. I do.
There's definitely more, and I think sometimes you could break it down and go, well, actually, I could shoot 3 weddings in the UK in that time. From a financial point of view, you could make UK weddings far more profitable for your time.
Yeah, that's true.
So for me, I do think pricing is a big thing, and that was part of the reason why I drove my prices up a few years ago, was because I found myself getting more and more inquiries for abroad, and you do, it is hard. When you get inquiries, you're like, right, I've got to try and book that wedding.
Yeah. And
if you're booking those weddings at £1,200-1,500 and you're traveling away for 4 days,
that's true.
You break the numbers down. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't stack up. So I started to charge a bit more. But my first one was, I think it was in France. Again, I think I probably charged about £1,200, and I included all my travel in that price as well, because I just wanted to go and do. I wanted to go and shoot abroad. I wanted that. I wanted those images in my portfolio, and I look back on it now, and actually, I do think, when I look at some of my favorite images and my best work, a lot of them are abroad.
Right.
And I do think they are a big brand and portfolio raiser. They do make you kind of stand out slightly from other people.
No, I definitely see that. Yeah, definitely. And how did you get so many then now? Did you specifically kind of SEO for it, or was it just natural?
No, I think
you blogging all these weddings?
Natural. I think when people talk about SEO, like and you'll know as well, there's no magic trick to it, is there? I mean, I don't know of one.
No,
I think it just comes down to being consistent with your work, keep putting stuff out, trying to blog, when you do blog, make sure that you're blogging it well, and just being consistent with your work process, really. That when people talk about SEO or finding inquiries, it often comes down to the fact that they're not doing something like they're not doing it to the level that it should be done, and they're not doing it often enough.
Yeah.
It takes hard work, doesn't it? You've got to blog, you've got to put the effort in to tag your images and to, put stuff out to Instagram daily. And,
Yeah. You do really well on it. Talking of which, you do really well on Instagram as well. So yeah, is that one of your biggest tips for Instagram? Is like consistency?
Okay. I think I do okay, but even I can look at it and go, I could do that better. I find the whole story side of Instagram really difficult to keep on top of. And I find it a real drain sometimes. I can go for a week or two of being really on it with stories, and then I just leave it for 3 weeks, and you just. Yeah. But actually, the posting of the images to Instagram, I think, is pretty straightforward. You just get yourself a good planner and just schedule it and leave it, and put that time into it. But
what do you use? What pieces? So
I've just started to use Tailwind, and that's really good. I've used Buffer before; it was okay. And then is it Plannerly?
Oh yeah,
but Tailwind's so many. Tailwind's probably been my favourite one so far. So that's been good. And just trying to put that effort in, once a month to just batch everything for the entire month and know that it's going up every day.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Key, isn't it?
Is it important for you what you write as well, caption wise, or is it just sort of about the images for you, or is it both? Or?
I think it's a little bit. I mean, obviously the image has got to be strong first and foremost, hasn't it? It's got to be on brand. I won't post images just for the sake of it, or I won't post an image that some images you naturally look at and you think that's going to get more likes and engagement. Some images you post, you're like, I don't know what this is going to get, but I'm going to post it because I like it. It speaks to me, and it feels like it's on brand and it's going to appeal to my clients. It comes down to being consistent, doesn't it? With your with your posting and your images and your tones, and you're just trying to again thinking of that target client and not trying to appease every potential wedding couple. You can't please everybody.
No, I please hardly anyone. So no, that's cool, man. That's all good. And you trained as a creative product designer, I believe. Is that right? Yeah. So how did you go?
What's yours?
I did an English degree, and then I went into SEO. Which was handy. That was handy. Yeah, but so how did you go from creative product designer to weddings then? What was your tale?
So in the final year of my degree, very bizarrely, I started buying and selling secondhand clothing. Actually.
Oh really? Just get through uni.
Really straight from uni. Actually, it was in my final year. So the start of my final year. So I got a 2-1 in my degree, which was all right given that I set up a business with a friend, and we turned out. We were VAT registered within the first 3 months.
Really?
First 3 or 4 months, it was just astonishing. It was in the very early days of eBay. Like, we were buying secondhand vintage items from charity shops when they were dirt cheap, and then getting them online. And it was bizarre. It was a really one of those things you look at and you just think, how did that happen? But it did.
And how long did you do that for?
6 years that went on for.
Wow, that's a long time as well.
We had at one point we had 5 staff. We had an enormous, a huge warehouse. We would go abroad buying stock, and we'd fill transit vans with stock and then break it down, clean them, relist them, and sell it. And that was it until really the recession hit, and then that was the point at which the wheels started to come off, and expenses went up and people spent less. And there comes a point, doesn't there, when you're like, I'm doing this for no money, so why am I doing it?
Yeah.
And that kind of coincided with the time that I'd really, because we were selling online, I was always a creative. I always enjoyed art and design and that kind of side of the business, and I was always kind of taking the lead with the imagery of the business. And I kind of got into studio photography, and then before you know it, people you know what it's like. You've got a camera and somebody's saying, oh, I know someone's getting married, can you take pictures for them? I was like, and again, this ties back to the kind of the bit of me that goes, yeah, I can do that, I'll do that, I'll give that a go. I've not really had I suppose any kind of fear, or I didn't go to weddings and worry.
Really? Yeah, never. Not even for your first lot.
Definitely for my first couple. Yeah.
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 But you don't get nervous now.
No, I go to weddings now and I just love it. Honestly, there's a real buzz, and I suppose I have a moment where I think, God, what if I take no good photos today?
Yeah.
But then you just have to kind of rock up and just go, right, I'm just going to work hard and trust in your instincts and your ability, I suppose. And
yeah, that's so true.
I think the more you do this, the more you realise that, if you work hard and you just keep yourself busy and keep yourself looking for things, you're going to win more than you're going to lose. You're going to get more frames than you would. The worst thing for me is if I become lazy and I miss stuff because I've, chosen not to keep active on the day. Yeah. But, when you see something out the corner of your eye, you're like, oh, I wasn't paying attention there. I've missed that. That's worse for me. I hate that. That's the feeling it's that fear that kind of drives me, I suppose, when I go to a wedding.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Make sure I'm always on it.
Yeah. Cool. And you're doing a great job, mate. Proper great job.
What was the original question there? What were we talking about?
we were going from your second-hand clothing business.
Second-hand clothing business, yeah. But no, that was, that business as well. You look back on things and you think, how did that happen? But actually, all of our backgrounds, you kind of look back on them and think, oh, actually, I learned a lot there. That was I employed staff, I ran a business, I had a day-to-day. There was lots of parts of the business that I carried through into my new business and my wedding business. Yeah. That at the time you kind of probably didn't realize how valuable those lessons were. But and again, the fear of we didn't lose the business as such. We decided to get rid of it before it kind of racked up any debt. But I did kind of feel like I lost a business that was going well, and within the space of a year wasn't doing well. And that fear, I think, has kind of always been there in the back of my mind. And that idea that it doesn't matter how you think your business is getting, if your business is going well, it could very quickly, if you take your eye off the prize, could go not very well.
And that's kind of happening to so many people's businesses now, isn't it? Yeah, it's mad. What was it called, your second-hand clothing business?
It's called Prince's Vintage. It's not going to win any name awards.
No, that's cool, man. Cool. Okay, let's change tack slightly.
Let's go for it.
Yeah. Okay, this is a question I've never actually asked anyone this. Okay. Do you have a favorite? do you have a favorite joke?
Favorite joke. Whoa.
That could be fine on air.
So bad. I'm so bad at jokes. But there was what was it? I'm scratching around because there was a really bad joke that I heard a little kid told somebody on the radio the other week. What kind of bees make milk? No, that's not it.
It's a great joke.
Boobies.
Oh yeah, that's great. I saw that on Facebook. That's a good joke. I like that. I think that's cool. I like that. One that I heard, I think it was in a Christmas cracker, was how do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for the Fresh Prince.
Brilliant.
That was good. Anyway, that was a nice little interlude.
Cool. One thing you didn't know about me, Alan, is I used to be really addicted to soap. It's okay. I'm totally clean now.
Oh, that's good. Oh. I like it. Boom, boom. It's good. Okay,
let's move on to something a bit better than that. We're not good at jokes. I think we've established that we are not comedians.
Yeah, let's not do like a stand-up duo. Although that would be cool. That'd be like wedding photographer and stand-up. That would be a different edge.
You would think we would have better jokes in our library, given some of the speeches we get to hear.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's true. Okay, another question. A totally original question here. You're cast away on a desert island. What one album would you take with you?
Whoa. Oh, it's a big question.
It's a big one.
How do you even answer that question?
You just talk, man. Open your mouth. And
okay. If I'm on my own.
Yeah, we're going to be all alone.
I'm trying to think of what I've been listening to recently. I'm one of those, you ask me stuff on the spot and I'm useless.
This is great.
If you gave me an hour, I'd come up with a really good list.
So we can have like 20 minutes of silence and like.
I'm trying to. Can I look at my Spotify?
You can look at your Spotify.
I'm going to look at Spotify and I'm just going to give you. Let's go into not Betsy's Party Mix. That's not good, is it?
Is that like Frozen soundtrack and things? And
there'll be a lot of Frozen in there. There'll be a lot of Frozen.
I don't know what album I would take.
See, I mean, you've asked me that question, but if I asked you that question, where do you go? I mean,
yeah, I wouldn't have a clue either. I wouldn't have a clue. So everyone's listening to this now. They're like, "Oh man." Okay.
So the one that's like, if I go on the first one, I don't think it'd be the one that I took, but the one that sprung to mind. I don't know why this happens sometimes, but Brand New was an album I've not listened to for a long time, but I loved it. Deja Entendu.
Cool.
I think that's what it's called. Brand New.
That's a band I've never listened to, but it's like is it like kind of emo-y pop punk type stuff? Is it like?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say emo.
No. Isn't it around that time though? They're kind of like.
Well, they kind of came off the back of Incubus. If you've heard.
Oh yeah, I've seen Incubus live like three times.
I've seen Incubus live. They were great.
Certain shade of green.
You can go the other way, and I love bands like Sigur Rós. And
oh yeah. I've seen them support Radiohead. They were awesome.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, let's go off music. We're not a music podcast, but that's quite cool. That's good.
We're not a music podcast, and we're not a joke podcast either.
No, although you could call us a joke podcast in a different way, but yeah. Right. One of your many awards and accolades, Sam Docker, is Rangefinder's 30 Rising Stars, which is awesome.
Yep.
Did winning that have an effect?
Got that, didn't you, Alan?
Well, yeah, I did, but yeah. But did winning that have an effect on you at all? You or your career?
I'm sure it did to an extent. I think it's like any award. I think you take them with a pinch of salt, but also it's nice to get a bit of recognition, and you just have to use it as a bit of a marketing tool as much as you can. And
yeah,
I think it's definitely a bit of a profile raiser. It probably got me noticed by a few more people that maybe wouldn't have noticed me initially. And maybe I do think like the Rangefinder is definitely a bigger thing amongst photographers. I think photographers look at that. And that was probably at the point at which maybe I started to look at, I had a lot of people then asking me about doing workshops. And that was probably the beginnings of the education side of my business.
I was going to ask about that actually.
Whereas before, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that without that bit of recognition. So
yeah, and I say it's funny you say, because I made the most of it as well in that way when I got it, and I started to. Yeah, I do really believe in making hay whilst the sun shines, and was that one of the biggest instigators for you for doing your own workshops then?
Yeah, I think there was that. I think there was also the again desire to probably work less weekends. I love, like I said earlier, I love going to weddings. I get a real buzz when I'm there. But being away from family and being away on a weekend is the big downside for me. And it's not going to change anytime soon. I'm still planning on being a wedding photographer for the foreseeable future. But
if there are any weddings to photograph.
Yeah, if we've got any. But I do try and give myself a bit more time off now, and I do try and balance it a little bit. And I will. If I've got like 3 weekends booked in June, I'll keep that other weekend and I'll keep it free. I won't book wedding for it. Wow. So workshops kind of allowed me to balance it out a little bit more by kind of saying, right, well, if I do a workshop, that's going to turn over the same that I turn over at a wedding. So, right, well, that's one less wedding to shoot. So, I could do a workshop on a Monday or a Tuesday.
That's cool.
One less wedding to shoot in the calendar year, isn't it? And getting your numbers to a level that isn't just basically consuming your life basically.
That's good advice. Yeah. And you must enjoy the workshops then? What's kind of your
I do, yeah.
What's your kind of approach for them? Is it practical, hands-on, or is it more?
No, I mean, I think we've talked about this before outside of the podcast, but like I think we both have a similar approach to workshops in that it's not a live shoot. Like we don't. I just find that element of a workshop just doesn't really sit right with me. It's not really what weddings are about. And I think just going through images that you've created on a wedding day and using that time to kind of deconstruct an image and talk about the process behind it and the thinking behind it and how you fell into that frame is probably more beneficial than just going down a street and just saying, "Oh, stand here, guys." Just because actually, from a posing point of view, like I think we both have a similar approach. Like I don't really pose couples.
Yeah.
I just don't see the point. I'd rather just go for a walk and let them just hang out for a little bit. And that is that is the level of direction that I give them. It's just like, right,
totally.
let's go for a walk. Just literally go and stand over there, guys. Just go and stand out. Just have a few minutes to yourselves, and
and then you're capturing them, then, aren't you? You're capturing them rather than like a set list of poses.
And our couples, they're not models, are they? They're not looking for direction and being told. I think when you start to tell people how to stand and how to pose, they instantly freeze up a little bit, and then they start to become a bit more stiff and a bit, and it just looks uncomfortable and unnatural for me. And that's not how I want my work to look or to come across. So going back to the workshop point, it is just a lot more, it's a lot more informal. Try and break the day down into certain sections of like, branding and SEO and marketing, and then, editing and workflow backup and
everything there really.
And I don't know about you, but I found the first one really daunting. Probably the first couple were terrifying, because you think people are going to turn up and be like, well, I already know that. What have I taken from this? But actually, when you start to realize that people are taking a lot of stuff away, and they're really taking some really valuable stuff away, and then they come back to you a few months later and they're like, thanks so much. That was a game changer. Like, that's really changed my business. You're like, oh, that's amazing. And then you get a real buzz out of it, and you see people like scribbling notes, and some people go away with reams and reams of notes, and some people might only take 2 or 3 things away, but those 2 or 3 things might be as valuable as those pages of notes. It's all relative, isn't it? And we're all in a different stage of business, so it's difficult to please everybody. But I think we can all learn from, we can all take things away from others.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm the same as you. Still, it was really scary at first. I still get scared with each one.
Definitely.
But it is so rewarding, and I really enjoy it. It's fab meeting them all. I love going out with them afterwards as well, and having a drink, and I just love all that. It's cool. It's cool.
So it's a real buzz, isn't there? You get a real buzz from it.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard great things about your workshop. Anyone listening, do check out.
Likewise.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's nice.
I've had a lot of people of mine that have been on yours, and they sing your praises, Alan. They've been very impressed. So
that's nice. Your check is in the post, Sam. Alan. But yeah, if you're listening to this while running or editing or whatnot, I'll include, if you go to thisisreportage.com, I'll include links to Sam's site and his workshop page and stuff. So definitely do check it out. I'm still disappointed you didn't go with the indoctrination name, or indoctrinate.
Yeah, we did. You were on me for that for a while, weren't you?
That was such a good name, though. Right, okay, let's.
You were charging me too much for taking the idea off you, Alan. I couldn't afford your idea. That was the problem.
That's funny. I want to talk. Oh yeah, about one of your specific Reportage Awards, actually, which you wrote. You also wrote a "This Is How" piece for us. It's that shot from, you're like 2 stories up of the bride about to get into the bridal car. Abigail, cool. I just love that shot, man. Can you tell us about that and your thought process? Because I think most people, wouldn't think to even get that kind of shot, of the bride getting into a car, shot from out of a 2-story window. So
I mean, I wouldn't. It's weird. Like, this is where kind of, I suppose, experience and trusting in your instinct kind of starts to come into play, doesn't it? Because I would never go to a wedding thinking I was going to get that shot, and I don't go to any weddings thinking I'm going to get this type of shot today.
Right. Okay.
I have to kind of let go and just accept that the creative process will kick in, and in the moment that opportunity is going to present itself, and I've just got to see it and take it. And actually, the more, it's really weird. Like, when I look back on when I first started weddings, I can still remember, and I've probably still got them somewhere buried on a, in a Dropbox folder, but like taking images of other photographers have taken and like putting them onto a Photoshop document, and then taking a photograph of them and looking at and trying to reference them throughout the day at a wedding. And I'm just like, I look back on it now and I think that was so the wrong thing to do. Like, all that did was stop me seeing things in the moment, and it stopped me like getting into that creative flow or that process or whatever it is that takes you down a path. And sometimes you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes you don't get anything, but you've got to be in that process to be able to achieve something at all. And going back to that image as an example, that sometimes I'll land on an image in a fraction of a second and it's there in the can, and you're just like, wow, how did that happen? And then sometimes I'll see an image, I saw that one that presented itself to me an hour before I even took it. just because I was in the room, they were all just doing bridal prep, and I was just looking out the window, and the car pulled up. And you know what the wedding cars are like? They're always there dead early, aren't they? Just and then all the bridesmaids are like, oh, the cars are here. And you're like, it's okay. They're just early because they're not, if they turned up right on time, you'd be worried.
That's true.
So yeah, and I looked out the window and I just saw it, and I just took a picture of the car, and then I just literally just thought to myself, right, that'd be a cool shot for when Abigail's leaving.
That's so cool.
And that was it. Yeah. And then it's just about, right, I suppose it comes down to, have I got the confidence to say to Abby, I'm not going to follow you down the stairs. I'm going to stay up here.
Because it's a risk, isn't it? It's a risk.
Massive risk. Yeah. And like 99 times out of 100, I would have just followed Abigail down the stairs, documented her getting in the car from her, from the street. But I didn't. Something told me to stay up there and hang my camera out the window, fire off like a dozen frames as she's crossing the pavement, and then leg it down the stairs. And that was it, and sometimes getting that different perspective is, they're the standout images, aren't they? Sometimes when you
definitely
you document something from a slightly different angle that people haven't seen before.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone sees the world like just straight on, don't they, in their eye level. Totally. So something like that really, really stands out. And I think, as you say, though, the images where you've taken a risk can often be, the best images, especially from the certain kind of like, those big, or those moments that you almost have an internal checklist that you need to get, like the bride getting into the car or coming down the aisle or the first kiss. If you can get a risky different composition or shot, then it's awesome.
Yeah, and I do think, like, maybe in the first year or two of being a wedding photographer, you probably don't have that confidence to step out and do that, and that comes with time. But the more you shoot, the more confident you are in turning up to a wedding and trusting your ability and your ability to be able to just execute a shot. Over time, that you start to take more of those risks, and sometimes you have to accept you're not going to get it. Like that shot might have been okay, might have just been obviously it worked out okay for me, like it was great, but you have to accept that it's not always going to work. But what's the worst that's going to happen? You're still going to deliver a shot. You've just got to put yourself in the frame and just give yourself the opportunity, and then make the most of it when you look back on it. And even on that day, like I look back on that day and I can't remember going back to that shot. Maybe when I sat down to eat my dinner, I can't remember going back to that shot thinking, oh yeah, I've got an amazing shot there.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes you don't recognize it until the edit, and you're like, actually that's standing out now.
Yeah.
And it's funny, isn't it, how some images come back to you, like, even on a second, third or fourth pass, you might not see an image.
So true. Yeah, cool, man. That's like, and what, again, if people are listening, this actual image that we're talking about will be in the post, so head to thisreportage.com. What camera were you sticking out the window to get that?
I think it was a Canon 5D Mark III.
Was it? Cool. So were you even having to put your eye out there to the viewfinder? You weren't?
I just literally just held my arms out. Obviously, we haven't got the flippy screen, have we, on those ones?
No.
Just like locked focus on the pavement, and that was it. Just when she walked across, just rattled off like a dozen frames, and just hope that one works out.
Oh man, it's so cool. It's such a fab image. Yeah, that's awesome. What are you using now? Are you still Canon?
Yeah, still Canons. I've moved to the Mark IVs, which has been it's been a decent little upgrade.
That's cool. Wow, you're like the only person shooting on Canon now, I think.
You, mate. Yeah, could be. I'm still waiting for Canon to ring me saying they want me to be an ambassador, but it's not happening.
After this podcast,
still waiting on that phone call.
So you're like the only Canon shooter, and like you're the only other Birmingham City fan, I think, as well.
I must be the only Birmingham City fan that uses Canon. Yeah, that could be it. There's not many. We're a rare breed.
Have you not been tempted then to change system or anything? Like everybody else.
I have. I definitely have. But I've just always found the system really comfortable to use, and they just work for me. I'm not one to kind of jump. And I know people have jumped to other brands and stuff and been really positive about that change, and that's great. Like if it works for you, brilliant. But there have probably been people that jump to a different brand and then jump to a different brand and then jump, and I just don't see the point sometimes. Like it's not, I think sometimes photographers put too much emphasis on kit and not on the actual being present in the moment and understanding what's happening in front of you and being able to recognize. I could still go to a wedding now with the Mark II and probably still shoot it relatively. There are certain limitations, like don't get me wrong, like the Mark IVs compared to the Mark IIs wipe the floor, but it's not always about the kit. That doesn't make the great image, does it?
No, totally agree. Yeah.
But
while you're talking about them, what is your top tips for documentary wedding photography in general?
Documentary. So I suppose I've kind of got I don't know if I don't really see myself as like a pure documentary photographer.
Yeah.
I'd say my style's slightly maybe fused with a few other little trends or like styles, but I still have a massive appreciation for documentary, and I still think the bulk of the day for me when I go to a wedding is about documenting how I see things.
Yeah.
But I suppose I kind of have a bit of a philosophy in that we kind of touched on it earlier, in that I go to a wedding, I have no preconceived ideas as to what's going to happen or what I'm going to get. And I really keep myself busy. I'm really focused on like making the most out of every scene, every part of the day. I very rarely sit down to take a break.
Is that all your kind of fitness coming into its own?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think it comes down to just, just kind of like looking at some images. Like for me, like if I look back and some weddings and I'm like, God, I got some really good images there just during dinner time. Like when people were sat down eating, right. I'm like, right, well, I'm never going to sit down to eat I'm never going to sit down during dinner time again, because I can see that I've got those images. So I'm like, right, I'm just going to keep myself busy, because sometimes things can happen in the quietest of moments, can't they? And you just don't know, do you?
That's cool though, man. That's hard. I mean, that's hardcore. I think most wedding photographers are not like that. So I think that's really cool. You do seem to have a really strong work ethic, I think, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's just I suppose again it comes from that fear of missing something. I think that's always there in my mind, that you're only there for one day. So you've got to make the most of it.
You stay really late, don't you? Do you stay like?
Yeah, I stay pretty much to the end. Yeah.
Wow.
And again,
it's hardcore.
Yeah, which is tough. Like that does it does physically drain you, and that's kind of why when I started to realise that I was staying late at weddings, I either had to change my approach a little bit, charge more and shoot less, or I had to start finding a way to leave earlier, and to charge more, shoot less was the one that won that one, because I find it hard to leave a dance floor after the first dance, because some of my favorite work is at the end of the night. Right. people when they're saying goodbye to each other at a wedding, like they hug each other for longer, and they don't want to let go, and it's like I know that those things are happening. So the idea that I'd be in my car on the way home I find it a hard thing to break away from.
That's cool though, man. And your clients must love you for that as well. I mean,
I think it gives you something that makes you stand out from maybe other people a little bit, doesn't it? And I think a lot of my couples do book me wanting that coverage of the party. They don't want a photographer to shoot the first dance and then already have his car fired up.
Yeah.
You don't do that, do you, Alan?
I don't do that. No, I don't do that, Sam.
No, but then, and again, there's no right or wrong, is there? Like that's. No. Like I'm not going to say to other photographers that's what you've got to do. Like every photographer's got to make that decision for themselves as to what's going to work. I just personally find it hard to leave after the first dance. So there came a point where I was like, right, if I'm going to stay late and I'm going to shoot weddings abroad and I'm going to be away from my family, I'm going to have to charge for it.
Yeah.
You can't just carry on charging 1,200 quid, 1,500 quid and doing 60 weddings a year where you're there till the end of the night. That would physically destroy you, wouldn't it? You just couldn't. No one's got it in them to do that.
No, yeah, definitely. Do you have any tips? I know because some people, they kind of want to stay later, but then maybe they think that after the first dance and then after that first song that comes after the first dance where everybody gets up, sometimes the dance floor will just disperse and no one will be dancing or anything. And some photographers will think, well, maybe nothing's going on during that time. So do you have any tips for that kind of time at all?
Yeah, I mean, I do think when we like going back to the previous question about kit and stuff, I do think that's where new kit has definitely helped out. I can shoot on the Mark IVs at 12,800 ISO, whereas on the Mark IIs, I would rarely go to 3,200. Right. So 4 years ago, you'd have to be like firing a flash gun, and that's it kind of goes against my approach. For I don't like to feel like I'm intruding too much. Okay. Obviously, a flash gun, you kind of, well, that's your cover blown, isn't it?
Slightly, yeah.
Whereas, you can now walk a room, and even if people are sat down on live view with shooting wide open at 12,800, you can get images. Yeah, I think kit now has definitely helped. It's definitely helped in my ability to be able to go and still work during that time of the night. Well, like 3 or 4 years ago when you're on the Mark II shooting it, you've got no choice but to use a flash gun, really. Whereas now on the Mark IVs, I can shoot at 12,800 ISO, wide open, and people don't know I'm working, really. Whereas again, like 4 years ago, you got a flash gun in someone's face. It's like, right, well, that's a little bit intrusive, but it's too intrusive for my liking. Yeah. So I do think like now, I can. It does happen at most weddings. Like they have the first dance and it peters out for an hour or two or whatever, and sometimes you just have to just just be present. I think sometimes there isn't much to document or there isn't anything to take, but it's amazing what can happen if you just stay alert and you just keep observing people and you just go and chat to people and you just be involved. It only takes a second for something to happen, and if you're there and in the room and observing people, you're giving yourself a chance to get something. And I might spend an hour of that night and might only take 5 or 6 frames, but I might take 100 frames. It depends on what's happening. But then the dance floor does tend to pick up. It does happen, and before you know it, you're back on the dance floor and things are happening again. Right, so cool. It's just keeping yourself busy, I think.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Cool, very cool, man. I'm changing text slightly again, but I read on your about page that you once had a hole-in-one. Crazy golf doesn't count, right?
Shot.
Yeah, but did you? So what was that, like a par 3 proper golf then?
It was a proper golf course. Yeah, I used to be a very keen golfer, but then kind of like with the football and going to the Blues. Being a wedding photographer, having a wife and having children. You know what it's like. Those hobbies and pastimes, they very quickly disappear, don't they? They get binned very quickly. Yeah. The idea of spending money and going to a football game now is just not gonna. It's not gonna happen. But
just to see Birmingham lose every weekend.
No, thank you. But no, I used to love golf, and I used to be I spent more time on the golf course than I did at sixth form, I think.
Do you have to buy everyone a round of drinks if you get a hole-in-one or something?
You meant to, yeah. I think I was only 15, so it probably wasn't going to happen, was it?
All right, no. There's some like orange hooch, like yeah. Have you ever met or photographed anyone famous?
Oh, I've signed NDAs for this.
Does it count on like audio? I don't know.
I think I can mention it. There's been a few people at weddings that have been famous. Like Ellie Goulding was at one recently.
Oh wow, really? Was she a guest or did she sing?
She was a guest.
Oh, cool.
Dua Lipa.
Really?
And what was the other girl's name?
I love the new Dua Lipa album. It's awesome.
God, and then a girl sang at it, and she's had an album out recently.
That doesn't really narrow it down that much.
No, it'll come to me in a bit.
That's cool, man.
There's been a few. Fern Cotton. Do you know her?
Right. Yeah, I used to quite like Fern Cotton.
She was nice.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's like I don't know. I don't really. Some photographers, when they've shot famous people, use that, don't they? In their,
yeah, all over their portfolios.
It doesn't matter. Like it's not. They're just people at weddings, aren't they?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Has there been an occasion where you've been really, really embarrassed at a wedding or otherwise?
Have I knocked anything over at a wedding before? I don't think I have.
Have you not?
No, I don't. I think at weddings have generally been okay. I've probably dropped a camera. That's probably about as bad as it got.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
And then I suppose the only kind of embarrassing moment of being a photographer was not turning up to an engagement shoot when I should have been at an engagement shoot. That was a big one. And then the engagement shoot was an hour away, and the couple had driven an hour and a half. Were
they all right with you?
You know what? Like honestly, you look back on things and you think, how on earth were they like? They were so lovely to me. Basically, we'd just moved house. We were expecting our second child, Buddy, in about 3 weeks' time. I was like trying to get the house ready, like sanding floors, and I just, you know what it's like. It's just a stressful time, isn't it? And the guy phoned me up and was like, "Just checking we're in the right car park," and I was like, "Oh, crap." I was like, mate, I'm so sorry. And I was, you just have to hold your hands up and just be as apologetic as you can be. Straight away, obviously, I told them that, we'll reschedule it. I'll fully refund you. Don't. And he was like, honestly, mate, he said, don't worry about it. These things happen. Like,
That's cool.
if that was me and my wife, I'm not sure we'd have been so understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got lucky there. I got lucky, but that was about as embarrassing as it's been, I think, in the 7 years so far.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's funny you forgot. I remember me and Oni were once just watching TV at 9, like 9:30.
Yeah.
And then we remembered we actually had like 2 tickets to a stand-up gig in Cornwall, and we just totally forgot. We were just watching telly. Yeah. Yeah. So you forget things, don't you? Yeah, and getting old as well, man. I'm like almost 40, so it naturally happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or almost 30. Did I say almost 30? I mean. What would be your top tips for people just starting out in the industry? Because there's a whole range of people, I think, who listen to this podcast. Obviously, people have been going for years, but then some people are just starting as well. So yeah, what would be your tips for them?
I've just found that artist, mate. That's it. Sorry, mate. I had to go away because when you've got something bugging you.
Oh yeah, who was it?
It was Lana Del Rey.
Oh really? As well. Wow. I love video games.
She sang at the wedding. She sang. So yeah, it was lovely.
That was cool. That's
top tips. So, do you know what? I think when you're starting out, I think you've just got to accept that you're on a bit of a path and a journey, and that you've just got to work hard and just hone your craft. But then there comes a point when you have to start to then focus on what it is you're about, and try not to appease and please or satisfy other wedding photographers. Don't fall into that trap of trying to impress other photographers. Just do a good job for your couples. Remember why they've booked you, why they've chosen you. I think we've probably all been guilty of it in the early days, but you try different things, and you're open to probably gimmicks or trends, and trying to post for likes and doing that thing. And actually it's a dangerous path to go down, because we can look at it now and look back on our work and kind of go, actually, what people are booking, they're booking you for, they're trusting in you as a photographer to be able to do a consistent job. And I think one of the biggest mistakes photographers make is they show such a variety of styles and too many different types of images that they don't appeal to anybody.
Right. Yeah.
So I think there's, just being, I talk about it on workshops and when I've done other interviews and stuff, but like the power of being consistent with your work, is huge.
I think that's something you've really nailed, actually. I think you've got a very kind of very strong overall brand and consistency and creativity. Like you can see one of your images and kind of know that's yours, which I think is obviously awesome to get. Yeah. I mean, I remember starting out and just not, I kind of shot it from the way I thought this is how I want to shoot it. Because did you start like second shooting or anything, or did you just go?
I didn't know. I don't think I've ever second shot. I think I might have just helped out a couple of photographers before, but generally never really second shot for anybody.
That kind of deep, just going into the deep end mentality, then I think it's really worked well for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, it's definitely kind of. It's definitely, and some people take to that better than others, don't they? Like some people. Some people are great photographers, like way better than us, but they're terrified by weddings and they're terrified by people and they just can't handle it.
Right,
Whereas there's a lot to be said for just actually being, having a personality at a wedding and going to a wedding and just being a nice guy or nice person, nice photographer, and just getting involved. And that opens up so many doors for you when you're at a wedding, when you're, not seen as the wedding photographer.
Yeah. What are you like on a wedding day? Are you do you banter and talk to guests?
Oh God, yeah, I love getting involved. I love chatting to people. When couples say, "Oh, do you want to sit at the table or do you want to just have a meal in the bar?" I'm like, "I'll sit at the table. Put me at a table." I'd rather sit at a table. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna get up and move around, but I'd rather just mingle with people and have a chat to them and be involved. I think that's really that's probably a really key part of what it is. I think we do is I love being involved with people, and I love stories, and that's a massive part of our photography, isn't it? Is understanding, if you're going to be a wedding photographer, you've got to love people. You've got no choice. You can't you can't be a miserable old git and be a great wedding photographer. They don't go hand in hand, do they? So
no, that's so true. And I think that must really help with like all the guests kind of trusting you and having that warmth for you, and then you being allowed to be in their presence and them just being totally natural then as well, I guess.
And again, it's the biggest marketing tool that you have available to you.
Right. Yeah.
Like people go on about SEO and all of those other things, but the first and the best form of marketing you have is the weddings that you're at. Like again, going back to the last question about top tip, like don't get sucked into just thinking it's all about your couple. Right? It's not all about portraits. You can get some amazing portraits in 10 minutes. Like that's it. That's going to be enough for your couple. Like I kind of go to weddings and I want people that are just there as a guest to go away having thought, oh, Sam seems like a nice guy. And then a few weeks later, or like 6 weeks later, they've got images and they're like, oh, there's a lovely image of me and my mum there, and they're just a guest. They were just guests at the wedding. You've got people then. It's all well and good. Your couple are always going to recommend you and talk about you because you're going to have done a good job.
Hopefully.
But, touch wood. If you can leave a wedding and you've got 100 people that are going away and saying that photographer, he seemed like a nice guy. That's
very cool.
Like the marketing, the power of that reach and that audience that you've got 100 people going away talking about you rather than just 3. It's massive, isn't it?
That's very cool. But Sam, how do you dupe 100 people into thinking you're a nice guy?
It cost me a lot of money. Like I have to go around and give me £5 notes out.
That's funny.
Oh, it just comes down like just go to weddings, enjoy it. Like put a smile on your face, get involved, ask people. People love to talk, don't they? Just ask them questions, and it's amazing where that can take you. And I kind of look back on jobs I had before that. Like, I used to work in retail a lot and on shop floors. And that was
didn't you work in McDonald's?
Worked at McDonald's, yeah.
Man, you've never told me that before, that you worked in McDonald's. That's amazing.
That was my first job.
That's like the dream job. That's the dream job.
It kind of wears off after about 3 shifts, mate. But
could you eat as much food as you wanted?
You were I knew this was going to happen. You were given a McDonald's meal for your lunch break.
Well, a Happy Meal?
No, a full meal.
Oh wow! What could it be? A large one?
You could pick whatever you want. You can have a large meal, Alan. Yes. But when you work there, do you know what? Like, it's really weird when you've worked there. Like, you've done like 9-hour days. Like, your appetite's gone. There is no appetite. You couldn't. I mean, you could. You could. I couldn't. I remember getting home from those shifts, and I was living at home, so I was only 16, and my mum would have like a Sunday roast down. I'm like, I can't eat. I'm not hungry. Really? You're just like working around food all day. It's not. But going back to like that as a job, you kind of look at it at the time, and I think, oh, it's just a job. It got me beer money. That's all it was. But actually, it taught me an enormous amount. Really? McDonald's is an incredibly well-run organization. Like you look at them compared to like KFC and Burger King, and like I find it hard to go. And I mean, I'm vegetarian now, so I wouldn't go in them anyway. But you look at how they run their business behind the counter, and like McDonald's is on it. They're incredibly well run as a business.
Yeah, don't they often get voted quite as high up in like employers kind of awards and things, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that, and the biggest thing that struck me when I worked there was just the levels of hygiene, like how well, like the clean down at the end of the night, how brutal it was, and
that's good to know.
It's definitely I've got a lot of time and respect for McDonald's. A lot of time.
So your time working there didn't make you a vegetarian then? It wasn't because they just put rabbits or squirrels in? No,
that only came a couple of years ago. So now I was a fully fledged meat eater up until 2 years back. But just going back to like the people thing as well, like working on shop floors and just going and just having that ability to just be able to go up and talk to somebody, it's something that I think a lot of people actually do struggle with.
Oh, yeah. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal in life and in wedding photography.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. And I always say, when I talk to couples and we, when we're just Skyping and stuff, I try and talk to them about how I try not to see myself as the wedding photographer. I want, like the bridal prep side of the day for me isn't always about the images. It's about kind of getting to know your close friends and family. Like, I want to know them a little bit so that when it gets to the pressure part of the day, and I've got to step in and get a shot of them, they're not offended by me doing that because I've broken down that barrier. Yeah, that's a massive thing. If I turned up to a wedding cold and I hadn't had that time to just chat to them and joke to them about whatever, and I just turned up to the wedding, I was like right in their face with the camera, they're going to be like, what? Who's this guy?
That's so true.
So just trying to remove those barriers, I think, is a really big part of the prep side of the day for me, more than the images. And then if you get an image that's like a winner, then great. It's a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome advice. That really is. I don't normally ask very, very technical questions, but I think people who know your work might be interested in this as well. But do you have
the least technical photographer you're going to meet?
Yeah,
I really couldn't care less. I mean, me saying 12,800 ISO is like, that doesn't happen very often. I didn't realize there was a tint slider in Lightroom until about 3 years ago. I mean, tint slider, Alan. Yeah.
No, that's cool. This is not a very technical question, but I think some people will be interested to know. But yeah, do you have a favorite lens or favorite focal length? I know that's not very technical, but I
suppose. Yeah. I mean, the one that I would say is against the norm of a lot of photography. I mean, like 35mm for me is like my go-to. That's like the absolute workhorse for me. Like I love that focal length, and that pretty much 90% of the day is on one of the bodies. And then the other one for me, I love my 135. That's like
cool.
That's like something that lens almost has made me stay with Canon.
Okay. I never tried it actually.
Love it. Pin sharp, dead fast, beautiful. Beautiful colors. I just love it. And I use it now in a very different way to maybe how I would have used it 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, it was about just kind of giving me just a bit, like I would probably marshal from a bit further back, and work a room, and it would allow me to keep out of the mix a little bit. Whereas now I use it in the mix. Like,
oh, really?
I like to get right in people's faces with it, or, details or hands and things like that, just to piece a story together rather than using it from the back of a room.
Okay, that's cool. Good to know. And regarding your editing specifically, I think because you really nail it, it's always so consistent with you as well. Can you tell us a bit about yours? Any tips, bits of advice or anything?
Yeah, so I mean, editing is one of those. It's a minefield, isn't it?
And
I suppose a bit of a pet hate of mine is like photographers that just like want to know about what preset you've got.
Oh yeah, I didn't ask that. You don't have to tell us that. I'm not asking.
No. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I don't even think you can buy them now. But I use a Visco preset, but it's almost been so altered from the time that I bought it that it's almost not even a Visco preset anymore.
Right. Yeah.
For me, it doesn't matter. Like, I could take 4 or 5 different presets, and I'm going to edit it and tweak it to a point that's going to end up at the same product. It's going to end up at the same finish, at the same final image.
Right.
Because I think it's about training your eye to know what you want to look for and how you want that image to look. Okay. And then it's just about being consistent with it. Again, consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're so consistent, which is awesome, I think.
But having that, obviously I've created my own preset off the back of that Visco one, and then just I use P-Fixer keys just to edit. I know there's loads of like boards and stuff out there now, aren't there, and stuff, dials, and I've tried them, but I just find keys really quick and rapid for me. They just work.
Same as me. I buy PC, so I use LR keys. But yeah, keys, it's great, isn't it? It's so quick.
It's really quick, and it's just about like just zoning out from like the internet and just trying to just focus on getting your preset applied to all of your images, and then just working through it and just trying not to overcomplicate it, and just balancing the images quickly and moving through them. So we're running a business, aren't we, at the end of the day? Like, I'm not, if a wedding edit is taking me 4 days, I'm not running a very good business. I'm not saying I rush an edit. Like, I try and do a second pass and just make sure that everything's right. But an edit should really it takes me about 5 or 6 hours.
Right. Okay.
To do a full edit.
That's good. No, that's really good. As you say, we are running a business. It'd be pointless if we just slave to the computer every second of the day. No, that's cool.
Like when you've got kids and a wife, you don't want to be sat chained to your desk editing like, oh, I've got 14 weddings to edit here. It's going to take me the next 4 months of my life. I just want to get it done, get it out the door, and get back to having a bit of a life.
You mentioned then, do you when you edit, would you have music on, or like some photographers have a Netflix on as well, or do you?
I can't watch Netflix. How do people watch Netflix?
I know, yeah.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. No, so no, I just have. I mean, I rent a desk in an office, so I've got there's a team of 4 or 5 guys that work in a design studio next to me. So that's great. It's a little bit of a kind of social interaction, but generally it's just headphones on and just get on with the edit. Kind of make it sound like I'm like rushing clients' edits. I'm not. It's just I know what to look for, and I try and stick to that path and not get sucked into, if I spend more than 2 or 3 minutes on a single image, that's a minute too long for me.
That's cool. And you nail it though.
Pretty quick at working through them.
Yeah, and nailing it, man. Honestly, nailing it. Cool, man. I think this is. You always say this, but it has really flown by. That's mental. So I think
that's a good hour, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's awesome. Just because we mentioned Netflix, so it's just in my head. What are you currently watching, or what's your favorite Netflix series? Any tips? Everyone's always looking.
I've got a few. So I use Netflix actually in talking about some workshop stuff, and just the importance of understanding how like content like that influences you as a photographer. Just making sure that you're making note, like just being aware of how consuming good content influences your style and what you look for at a wedding. I often go to weddings and subconsciously almost like transfer what I've seen on Ozark into how I see a scene at a wedding.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So like Ozark's a big one that I've just finished. Love that.
So we've watched the first 2 series, but not the 3rd series yet. Is it good?
It's great. That's great. Okay. I've always loved Better Call Saul. And then, have you seen the Last Dance, the Jordan?
We're halfway through that at the moment. It's really
great,
good,
isn't it? Yeah, really good.
Really interesting. Yeah.
They've put some good stuff together, haven't they? Netflix like that. It's been
really good. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the BBC, the TV license recently with Oni. Like, surely that's got to go at some point.
Yeah, it's gonna, isn't it, at some point?
Yeah.
And then away from Netflix, have you seen Gangs of London?
I haven't. No, is that a Prime thing?
Oh,
is it?
Brutal! It's brutal. It's on Sky Atlantic.
Oh, okay. No, is it good?
It's brilliant.
Okay, cool.
I won't give anything away.
I don't have Sky Atlantic though. We don't have Sky, man. That's an excess. Dude. Okay, one last question. Biggest question ever. Do you eat the canapes?
If they're vegetarian, yes, I do. do. You've got to, haven't you? You've got to. I mean, come on. I mean, most couples are generally lovely, aren't they? They're like, just help yourself to whatever you want. Right, okay, that's it. I am going to help myself to whatever. That is it. I'm in.
Do you don't have a specific technique for like stealing a canapé then, or are you just?
I've got no shame. No shame. Just go straight in, don't you? I mean, I probably let them just do one lap of the room before I go in.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm not.
Let the bride and groom get one.
I'll let them get one, and then just. But do you know what? I do have to be told. Actually, I find it hard to just help myself without kind of being told. Like, you just help yourself to whatever you want. I kind of do need that signal, but once I've had that signal, that's it. We are going in. We are going in.
Oh man, awesome, dude! Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to catch up. Let's not leave it 3 years until the next chat, shall we?
Oh, I know, dude. I know. Definitely, I want to play table tennis with you again as well.
Well, we'll have to try and arrange that. You can't really play virtual table tennis, can you?
Well, actually, you can in VR. You can in VR, man. If you got a VR headset, it's quite nifty, actually. Yeah, should do it. But next time you're down in Cornwall, man, just come and stay with me. I've got a table now.
Yeah, there's a couple of venues down there that I shoot at quite often. They're nice, aren't they?
Where is it? Lusty Glades?
Nancarrow's nice.
Nancarrow is literally 5 minutes from me because I live 5 minutes from Truro.
Yeah, you had to go at me last time I came down there and didn't pay you.
Yeah. What's that about, man?
Sort it out. Thanks for having me on, mate.
Oh man, it's an honour to talk to you. It's awesome.
And reportage as well. Looking great.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Nice to see you growing steadily.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. A lot of work, but I'm really enjoying it. Anyone listening to this, head to thisisreportage.com and I'll show loads of examples of Sam's work and links to his websites as well. And awesome, man. Thank you and stay safe.
Pleasure. You too, Alan. Catch you soon, mate. Take care.
See you, dude. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the 30th episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. Always enjoy talking to Sam. Hope you enjoyed it too. Head to thisisreportage.com to see the specific Reportage Award that Sam spoke about, as well as more examples of his work and link to his website. We also have lots more episodes of the podcast already released, with photographers such as Leonard Walpott, Lali Rico, Tyler Worken, Sanna de Block, Yves Schiepers and more. If you have a spare moment to leave us a review on your podcast service of choice, that would be massively appreciated. It's lovely to know that you're enjoying them. And if you're not yet a member of TIR, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 Reportage Award and 18 Story Award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts, and the recent huge addition to membership, exclusive video content. There's already over 8 hours worth of videos to watch, where some of the world's best photographers share their tips, thoughts, and experience to make you a better photographer. New videos will also be added regularly. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.